Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about books I did not enjoy and why I think you should read them. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. But before I explain how it makes sense, I want to thank today's sponsor, Book of the Month, for sponsoring this video. Book of the Month is a monthly book service that aims to promote new and emerging authors by curating diverse new and early releases in various different genres. One of the super cool aspects of Book of the Month is their gift giving service, which allows you to give your loved ones a chance to try out a subscription and choose books that they may be interested in. There are 3 different gifting options: the 3-month subscription for $49.99, the 6-month subscription for $89.99, and the 12-month subscription, which is the best value, for $169.99. Book of the Month delivers the gift cards through email, allowing you to print in the safety of your home. But if you preferred a physical card, they do also deliver them, which makes them the perfect gift, especially now due to social distancing regulations and COVID. As with the regular membership, you can also skip any month if you don't find a book interesting, and you can also add on extra books when you are a gift card holder. To kickstart the holiday season, I'm partnering Book of the Month to give away a 6-month membership to 2 of my United States-based subscribers. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is 1, be United States-based, and then you have to subscribe to my channel and fill out the Google Forms link that I will have in the description down below. Make sure you watch this video till the end because there is a question you'll need to answer in the Google form for the giveaway. Make sure to enter on or before November 30th for your chance to win, and feel free to check out Book of the Month's Instagram page as well. If you'd like to get a gift card without entering the giveaway, you can also check out the link in my description box, which will take you to the Book of the Month gifting site. So this video is a product of months and months and months of me getting recommended books by my friends and me ending up not liking them,
or coincidentally, me reading books that my friends really love and me not liking them.
I have thought for a really long time that I read pretty much the same stuff everybody reads. I rate things the same way everybody rates things. You know, I had that really great streak going where I was reading the Lunar Chronicles, I was reading the first book of ACOTAR, I was reading things that everybody loved, and it was smooth sailing and it was great. But then recently that has not been the case. I don't know if my reading tastes have changed or if I'm just discovering new things that friends have read, but it's been dumpster fire. So I want to create something beautiful out of it. If you've read any of these books, or if you plan to read any of these books, let me know what you think, why you want to read them, and things like that. How this will work is I'll tell you the book, and I'll tell you why you should read it, and then I'll tell you why I did not enjoy it. That way we have the positive going first, and if you decide to only focus on the positive, it will be there for you. Alright, so the first book that I have on this list is, unfortunately, Take a Hint, Dani Brown. This book follows our main character, Dani Brown, who is a PhD student, I believe, and she ends up sort of fake dating this guy who works at the building that she teaches in, and that's basically the romance arena, how romances go. I don't want to spoil anything. Dani Brown is the sister to Chloe Brown, who is the main character of the first book, Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This book is going to be amazing for people. First of all, the book literally has a Black female main character who is just a bad bee, and her love interest is an amazing, sweet, soft person of color as well. He is so attractive and he is the sweetest thing ever, and he's also an athlete from what I remember. The main guy also struggles very heavily with anxiety, and I really liked the anxiety rep in this, and I also really just loved seeing our main love interest interacting with his family and interacting with the students that he worked with, things like that. It was just very adorable from that sense. However, I did not enjoy the book because it was very heavy on the we want to engage in coitus vibes. Coitus what? It was just heavy on aspects of romance that I do not care for and do not feel any connection to. So I was like, can we skip all of that and get to the very romantic parts where they're holding hands and just being cute and lovey-dovey and just being soft and sweet? And I was sorely disappointed. That did not happen. That was not the way these characters were, and so I didn't really enjoy the book. I didn't connect to the book, but I still think that this is definitely a book that so many people will love. Therefore, you should read it. Moving on to my second recommendation, which is Permanent Record. I originally read this book because I was trying to recover from the first book I read from this author, which I forget the name, I'll put it here. I didn't enjoy that either, and so going into this book, I was like, I've heard so many good things about this author and their work, so I'm going to give them another chance. And Permanent Record follows our main character, Pablo, who is a bodega worker. He has dropped out of college because he couldn't afford it, and one day while he's working, a famous singer, Leanne, comes to the bodega and they end up sparking like a friendship / camaraderie. I don't want to call it a romance because if I do, then you might go into this thinking it's going to be some epic find yourself new adult romance, and that's not what this book is, but that is definitely what I thought it was. I really think this book is perfect because our main character struggles with his identity. I think he was half Pakistani and half Korean, but I will correct myself if I was wrong. But he really is somebody who, struggles, like I said, with his identity as a brown person and his identity in society. And so that is discussed a lot in the book. And I really think that that's an important representation for a lot of people to have, especially also if you struggle with money too. I definitely related to Pablo in that aspect, and I was like, I understand exactly how you feel about XYZ, but where that fell apart for me was in his behavior and in the way both he and Leanne behaved. Pablo was constantly skipping out of work and behaving in very dangerous ways that I was like, what is going on? Like, honestly, can this end? And so I spent a lot of the time reading this book being very annoyed, but I've seen so many people loving it, and so I think this is definitely one to check out because you might really love it. Next on my list is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. This follows our main character, Nina, who has grown up with her mother and not knowing who her dad was, and suddenly she finds out a father she never knew existed has left her a giant chunk of his inheritance, and she has to go and meet his family in order to sign papers and in order to get her inheritance and things like that. This book is perfect for people who want stories about somebody discovering a whole new world of people they did not know, because Nina comes from a very middle class family, and the family that her dad has is very rich. This whole book is set in Southern California, so in that sense, Nina is kind of not struggling based on where she lives in Southern California, but the way that that family is, whoo, child, if I got a call that was like my family, I'd be like, bye! And I'd be right there signing those papers, and that's what Miss Nina did, and that's what she should have done. However, what she shouldn't have done was spent the entire book reminding us about how quirky and unique she was. Because the whole time we're reading this book, Nina's like, I'm not like other girls. I read. And I was like, girl, everybody reads. Even if you don't read books, even if you don't read nonfiction, everybody reads something. Everybody loves to read something, okay? Even if it's like the manual of a video gaming console or whatever, you're reading something. But Nina would constantly act like literally the ability to read was something only she could do. And she constantly reminded you about how she was unique and quirky and not like these other people. And if you know anything about me or what I do and don't like in stories, you know that those kind of characters are the kind of characters that I dislike the most. So I definitely did not like Nina. But I do think that if you like characters like that, you might like it, in addition to all the things I said about family and all the tea, because there was tea, as you can imagine, entering a family of rich people and finding out all the juicy gossip. Moving along, the next book on my list is A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling that follows our main character Harper, who lives in DC, and she gets transported into a different world, a fantasy world, where there is a prince who has been cursed, and he's trying to break the curse to stop himself from killing his people. I think this book is absolutely perfect. First of all, this book is amazing because it is honestly one of the few fantasies I can think of that has a main character who has a disability. And the way it's talked about in this book, from what I've heard from Own Voices reviewers, I will link one of the videos that is an Own Voices review so you guys can watch that. But the things that I've heard from Own Voices reviewers has been amazing in regards to this story. And so I think it's very important, especially if you do enjoy Beauty and the Beast retellings. If you're a fan of things like that, I personally, in the first place, don't like Beauty and the Beast. So I only read this because it was recommended to me by my friend, and then I buddy read it with some friends. The romance was so dry. Like, honestly, I was like, where's the chemistry? Where's the chemistry? Harper was actually a great character, but sticking her with somebody as dry as Ren was honestly such a disservice. It made me quite upset. The book's romantic aspects were not there, but I did enjoy Harper's character. I enjoyed Gray's character, and I'm excited to read the next book purely for Gray because it's Gray's book, but I cannot stand Ren, so I hope he barely shows up in that book. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. The next book that I have on this list is The Hating Game, which follows two of our main characters who work in the same like office room or cubicle, and they absolutely despise each other. They spend all day at work looking across, being like, I hate you, no I hate you, no I hate you, I hate you more. And the book is basically like an enemies to lovers, haters to lovers type of vibe, but in the workplace, these characters literally do everything in their power to kind of sabotage each other. However, they don't really succeed, honey. So if you like that kind of vibe where people are trying to destroy each other and then they fall in love, this is perfect for you. If you love office romances, this is gonna hit the spot for you. I, however, did not enjoy this book because I could not buy into the we hate each other, but suddenly we think each other's attractive, because from the beginning of the story, our main character was like, this guy is so attractive, he's so cute, whatever, but I'm just gonna hate him. So there was no reason really for them to hate each other. So I didn't buy into that at first. So when it transitioned into them liking each other, the transition just didn't feel there for me. So I was already checked out. And I know this is a small thing, but I just don't like nicknames sometimes when the person's nickname is based off of a food. Maybe that's just me feeling like scarred from the chocolate muffin, chocolate shake, color of coffee descriptions that people with darker skin tend to get. So anytime I see someone be like food, I'm immediately like, no. But I think his nickname was about strawberry, so it's not even that bad. I was just being petty and pulling strings anyways. But if you love office romances, like I said, you will really love this, especially because this book has a lot of fans. Every time I watch a romance recommendations video, The Hating Game is on that list. Until this day, I'm still confused, but we love to see it. So at least if you read this book and you love it, you'll have a lot of comrades in the fight for The Hating Game. So the next book on our list is Girl Gone Viral, which is a book that follows our main character, Katrina King, who is a woman who is trying to keep on the down low because of her past and people she's trying to hide away from. So she has this really traumatic past where she married this older man who helped her get out of it. And so now she's, like I said, keeping it on the down low. So in order to do that, she has herself a little bodyguard, okay? And if you are a fan of bodyguard stories, if you're a fan of kind of stoic men, which I'm a fan of, I love the whole dry energy until the person I like shows up. I love that. And if you do, you'll love this. However, why I did not like the book was because, unfortunately, I felt like nothing happened. Like, I felt like I was just reading this book and they were like going to his family's farm or whatever, or they were like at her house or whatever, but nothing really felt like anything was happening, which was so weird because like we met his family, we got to know about his family background, we got to see about Katrina's past and things like that, but I don't know why the entire time I was reading it, I was just kind of like, I don't know what's happening here. I feel like it's because this is the second book in the Modern Love series, and in the first book, we got so much, because the first book follows our main character who got stood up by a guy who she was going on dates with and stuff, and then they get into this app war basically, and he ends up being somebody who's trying to buy the company that she's trying to get. I think I read this book last year, so my brain cells are not clicking that strongly, but I remember really loving the first book. So when I came from that high impact to Girl Gone Viral, I was just kind of like, because where the story kicks off is Katrina ending up in this girl's Twitter thread all over the internet about her having a romance with some random guy she met in the bookshop. So she freaks out, and both her and her bodyguard have to kind of like run away to a spot where she's being kept safely, which is, I think, his family farm, which is why I mentioned that earlier. But they're there, and I'm just kind of like, in limbo the whole time. So I don't know if it's just me, because I honestly have also kind of heard the same criticisms about the second book, but read it and let me know. Or if you've read it, let me know. Did you feel like things were happening? Because I'm still confused. Next on my list is Anonymous Go, which is a thriller novel that follows our main character who signed up for some sort of psychological experiment, and the whole book is a little bit weird because our main character pretends to be this other girl and she signs up for the psychological experiment, and throughout the whole book she's in this experiment, but it's kind of weird because we're in the experiment but not, so it's kind of like what's going on. And I think that is something that you might enjoy if you love kind of confusing thrillers, or if you love thrillers that have to do with some sort of experiment or some sort of research study. You will really like this. I, however, spent a lot of the book being like, what's happening?
What's going on over here?
Because I feel like this is just the author trying to string things together. And also the plot twist that happened in the book, I barely remember it. And that's saying something, because for me, the juiciest part of a thriller I will never forget. So maybe that's me saying this isn't juicy, but also I read a lot of thrillers. So that might be another reason why this one didn't really impress me. So I probably recommend it to people who are very new to thrillers, or if you love really psychological type experiment type of thrillers, because this one's not scary and it's not too like creepy or weird. It's just kind of like, oh, this girl is going for an experiment. What's really going on here? What's this lady actually doing? Things like that. So the next book that I want to recommend is a book that I should have seen myself not liking, but you will definitely like The City We Became if you like books that have to do heavily with the region that they are set in. The City We Became is set in New York. People who basically take on the entity or become the city. And this book is adult fantasy, so if you love adult fantasy, you'll love that. It's urban fantasy. If you love urban fantasy, you'll love that. One thing I really loved about this book was the discussion on racism, gentrification. There were very cool elements of the book, but I didn't like it because, one, I've never been to New York, so I could not literally for the life of me connect to any of the boroughs. I was so confused the whole time. I was like, what's going on? My pea-sized brain cells are not clicking. Somebody please help. And I know I'm not alone because other people felt the same way. I read this book because it was the Patreon pick for my Patreon, and we read it, and I was just like so confused the whole time. And I was like, I think this would be a wonderful adaptation. I'm so excited for if this ever becomes an adaptation. I will be the first person there, because I do love settings that are heavily dependent on a region in a TV show or in a movie, because I can visually see things. But having to imagine everything when I've never been to New York was just very hard for me. I do still think if you've never been to New York, you might still enjoy this, because there are a lot of people who have literally never been to New York that really loved this book because they've never been there and because it taught them a lot. So they enjoyed it and they didn't feel like they were thrown out of the story because of that. So I do still think that it is a book that is very enjoyable if you've never been there, but for me it wasn't. But yeah, that is the last book on my list. Once again, if you've read any of these, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought, if you loved them, if you hated them, if you felt indifferent like I did to some of these books. Let me know. This is the perfect time for me to tell you that the question for the giveaway will be, what is your favorite book so far of 2020? So where you see that question in the Google Forms, just go ahead and write in the book title and the author's name for your favorite book of 2020. And also, if you watch the entirety of this video, leave me a heart. You can leave an orange heart because I feel like I'm very orange today. So you can leave me an orange heart, or if you just have any regular heart, you can leave that as well. But yes, that is the end of this video. I hope you get to check out some of these books that I did not enjoy, and I hope that you enjoyed them because a lot of people do. Anyways, thanks again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will catch you later. Bye!